Hi, everyone. Welcome to TSP Weekly, your tech startup podcast for March the 31st, 2016. We're here today in the Distillery Labs. My name is Stephen Campbell, local tech entrepreneur here in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. Joining me today, as always, is Amaris Gerson, our expressive co-host.
Hi, Stephen.
How are you, Amaris?
I'm all right. How are you?
You got any cool things planned for tomorrow, which is April Fool's Day?
Yeah, maybe I won't. No, I'm not going to
That
say
you
it.
can
That'll wreck it.
disclose?
Yeah, no, I can't.
The
I'll wreck
podcast
it.
isn't released till Monday, so
yeah, but then
you're
they'll
safe.
know. So if I call in sick and and that's my joke, they'll know.
Joining us this week on our podcast, moving along, is Kendra Ross from TechFarm.
What?
Hi, Kendra.
Yeah, hi.
How are you?
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm great. How are you?
Our pleasure. I'm awesome. So tell us a little bit, what is
awkward.
TechFarm?
What is
And
TechFarm?
what are you farming?
Yeah.
Tech.
Okay.
Obviously.
What are you farming for? What's the...
Well, engineers make great farmers.
Okay, carry on.
I've
Yeah.
heard that, yeah.
Let's hear the rest
They,
of
Roll
they
this-
like working with their hands, and they're all
Yeah.
like big burly men, and they just want to get out and farm things.
Are we talking about the
Seriously?
same engineers?
Yeah,
I'm not
for
sure.
Programmers so good at that.
No, that's
No,
so not who I thought they were.
So TechFarm, I started talking to Dave and Brandon from Oak and Rumble. They're a video production company right downtown Kitchener. We've been talking since the fall about how we could start to tell some of the really amazing stories that are happening every day in startups in KW, and we realized that people are already doing that, like you guys here at TSP and Ways We Work. See the Spaces is a great one, so that's already really happening. And when we got thinking about it, we still want to go and shoot our own video and talk to all those people, but we felt that what really needed to happen was there to be a place that people could just go and see all of those stories. So people are all telling the same stories, but from really different perspectives. They're talking about the spaces. They're talking about how they came up with the ideas. They're talking about the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day. And if we thought that if there was one kind of cohesive farm that anyone could go to and see all of those stories, that would be really compelling.
So sort of the communitech for passion projects.
Yeah, exactly. So people are doing all of these things because they love what they're seeing, and
Right.
they're really passionate about the projects that they're working on, and they want to share that. And everyone has, like, you guys have a couple thousand people following TSP, and See the Spaces has a couple hundred people following them on Twitter before. Like,
Have
they
you
haven't even
launched?
launched.
Yeah, they're not launched yet.
But they have people so committed to their vision that if we could bring all of those people together, that would be something really powerful for the community.
Is that something you've talked about with, for instance, I mean, you obviously talked about it with us. We've already talked. But have
Yeah.
you talked about it with See the Spaces or Ways We Work yet?
Well, we're really excited to have TSP. We'll be there with all the video footage and all of that. We don't have commitments from anyone
Right.
else, but I will say to you that if you have a passion project or want to start something, or are looking for a place to either host the videos, we want people to keep their own brands and their own names and their own viewership, but we want to give them a place to put all of that. So
it makes sense to me. It's
Yeah.
almost like a communal place where you can have a bunch of experts. As a podcaster, I stuck my foot into the pool of video and
Yeah.
very quickly realized it was
It was
freezing cold
Terrifying.
and terrifying.
It was kind of funny, but very
It
terrifying.
was funny,
Yeah.
and no one will ever see that footage.
No, they should not.
So it very quickly became obvious to us that we needed to find experts to help us tell the story that we were telling.
Yeah.
So that totally makes sense from my standpoint to put those experts in place.
Well,
Yeah.
and it does make sense, I'm sure, from a lot of people's perspective, and that everyone is a bit of an expert in something. So if you guys are great at hosting that content and bringing everyone together, that is exactly where you'll fit. And
yeah, we
help
want
us
to give people the
podcasters, help
outlet.
help the writers, help the photographers kind of give that outlet. That's great.
Yeah, so we're kind of talking about bloggers, photographers. I know there's a photographer that works at Magnet that's been doing some
Yes.
some work locally.
So, yeah, that would be TechTown.
Yeah.
TechTown
Dimitri.
KW. Yep.
So we're looking for photographers, almost bloggers or writers, podcasters, video people, anybody that's sort of helping tell the story. I know Communitech has some people, Velocity does, and there's several here locally. So
yeah, and there's tons of people telling, all sorts of different stories in whatever way makes sense for them. Like Dave and Brandon are awesome video producers, and that's how they like to share. But, I'm a writer. I don't actually know anything about video. I'm really lucky to know them. But, everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And I think if we can get everyone together in one kind of centralized place, that's going to be, really powerful for everybody.
So let's talk a little bit more about who this mysterious Dave and Brandon are.
Yeah. Who are they?
They're
Do they
the
have
Oak
last
and
names?
Rumble guys.
They are the Oak and Rumble guys.
Yeah,
they
tell
do
me-
have last names.
Let's tell me more about that.
Do we know their last names?
Can I make fun of their last names?
Oh, hell yeah,
No.
for sure.
Dave Hiff and Brandon Hardy from Oak and Rumble. They started up, I think, 2 years ago. With the idea of, I really should let them come talk for themselves.
They're
Yeah,
nodding.
how's it
to
feel,
us.
guys?
they're nodding at us.
And now
They're nodding and then they're saying
Now they're
no.
shaking their heads.
They're
so
like,
no.
don't talk about me, Kendra. Don't do it.
So broad strokes for them. We don't want to
Yeah.
put words in their mouth, but so they started about 2 years ago.
Yep.
And how'd you guys meet?
So in the fall there was Startup Open House, which is a great event. I was working with Green Brick Labs at the time, and we were participating. We opened our doors. People were coming in, and they were, startup hopping.
Right.
I imagine it was similar to bar hopping, since everyone has a keg now, right? So,
Yep.
But people were startup hopping, and Dave and Brandon came in suits.
That's awesome.
Just in suits. So everyone else
Dress
is
for
wearing
the job
like,
you want, right?
So I think I spent about 40 minutes making fun of them.
Right.
And, we've been kind of friends ever since.
It makes more sense if you know who they are to imagine that they're wearing suits at a startup event. That's what really makes it that much better.
To put it in perspective, 2 weeks ago they shot a video for Ryber, which is where I work now, and they were awesome. It was a great production. But we realized we needed one more person on camera, and so Dave pulls out of his laptop case the most crumpled shirt I've ever seen in my entire life, buttoned down, and he puts it over his T-shirt and takes his ball cap off, and he has kind of long hair, so he has a really big ball cap line.
Sweet.
And he sits down and I would totally believe you'd work in an office. Thank you for being in our video. That's great.
Perception is reality.
Right.
There's no
So
question.
there was no suit that day.
Yeah, that's
suit
fair.
that day.
Yeah, so they're not that kind of guy. So that's good. So you met them, you made fun of them, and friendship was born.
That's how I generally make friends.
You make fun of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
that's-
either leave or, we're tight.
Yeah. I think that's how we're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's how that went.
Yeah.
So we've actually had Ryber on the podcast before. We talked to Brian.
John.
Was it John?
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
He's been working on the underlying IP on Ryber for 3 years now. So we just went into market in a really big way a couple months ago, and it's been great. But my little pitch for that is that we have an algorithm, and so Ryber as a platform uses artificial intelligence to help companies create content that's really targeted, really on brand, and very, very efficiently. So we're tech for creative people.
But we're going to talk to Ryber later, so we don't want to give too much.
Too much. You also
Alright.
mentioned
Yeah,
Green
it's like-
Brick Labs. What are
Yeah.
they doing?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little 30-second pitch for Green Brick?
Green Brick is awesome, really great people. They are a full-service agency, web dev, marketing, customer service for companies who are innovating with Bitcoin and blockchain tech.
Okay.
So they're doing some really, really cool stuff.
And so you're coming to both of these companies, like Green Brick first and now Ryber.
Yeah.
What's your background in that?
I'm
Why?
a marketer.
Okay.
Because all of the programmers need someone to tell their stories.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So that is what I really love, which makes TechFarm a really natural passion project for me.
So TechFarm is going to take all of these different mediums that are telling the story of the passionate people here in KW and help disseminate sort of we're stronger with numbers.
Yes.
What else do you see happening with TechFarm as we move forward?
I would really love if we could help all of the people who have their passion projects gain a much larger following because they need to tell their stories too. Like, what drew you to starting TSP?
Well, that was a long time ago. It feels like Darren and I.
I was going to say, was it a man named Darren?
Yeah, Darren Connolly and I started it up. He had some podcasting experience. And again, it was sort of a passion project. Our goals for starting it were to meet more people and to learn about what's happening here locally. And so we achieved that goal, and Darren said, I win because I did what I wanted to.
It's easy to win at something like that.
So he said, I've got to go. He's an entrepreneur at heart, so he's got a whole bunch of balls in the air. So he had to go juggle a little bit. So I totally understand it.
And then you
we'll
found
have him
me.
on again in the podcast.
You
at some
found
point.
me from my other passion project.
That's right. Yeah, we met at the Hacker Nest, and we've been loyal followers of you and the Hacker Nest project. And then Amaris actually did a guest hosting with TSP Weekly over in Guelph, where we talked about Guelph startups.
But I was on before. I talked about Hacker Nest.
Sure, yeah.
And then I talked about the Startup Weekend.
Yeah, you were on as a Hacker Nest person a couple times.
And we got along well because I made fun of you.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Yep. It worked
That's
well.
the secret to true and lasting friendship.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
There you go.
Make fun of outfits.
So
make
let's
fun of
take a
hair.
second here and let's break for our
Okay.
sponsorship. And we'll talk about our sponsors and what we're doing there, and then we'll come back on the other side
Sounds
and
good.
talk more
Awesome.
about Kendra and the boys.
If you like what we're doing at TSP Weekly and you want to help us continue to do that, we are looking for sponsors. And you get a chance to be in front of, get your product in front of, or your company in front of.
We've had over 11,000 downloads so far over the life of TSP Weekly. We find most of our listeners are product designers, developers, product managers, venture capitalists, the whole sort of entrepreneurship community.
Right. And they're mostly in the US and Canada, but also some around the world, and that's continuing to grow, especially now that we've added video. So if you're interested in learning more about the sponsorship options, you can reach out to us on Twitter at TSP Weekly.
Please do, and we'd love to engage you in conversation. So this is Dave and Brandon.
Yeah.
From Oak and
From
Rumble.
Oak and Rumble.
Now, I want to say two things. One, that shirt is not as wrinkly as
Yeah,
it
like
could
that. It's not that bad.
be. And two, can you take off your hat and show them the line?
Oh yeah, that
You
you
turn around. Yeah.
Wow. Do you work in an office?
Yeah, I always work with the hat on, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless I'm in like an important meeting
Okay.
or at a tech open house. So.
Yeah.
When you throw the suit on.
For the suits.
But check out the Ryber video because that is a pretty great hat line.
I remember the days when I used to have hat lines. Now it's just a big red line across my scalp.
Oh, so sad.
So if you want to sponsor us after we've just come back from our sponsorship episode, I do have some real estate available. Just send us a tattoo.
We're gonna get another camera so we can film from above.
What are you going to charge for that?
It's free. I feel like
really?
It's
yeah.
free.
Oh, well
Sure.
then I got stuff to
You have
put
some
up.
Yeah.
tattoos?
Yeah.
I feel like we could just take care of this.
I
right
got a
now.
permanent marker in my bag. We can do good
April
things.
Fools.
So let's talk about, we're back, we're talking about passion projects. Let's talk about TechFarm. What are one of the problems that passion projects face?
Yeah, one of the biggest problems is, and I know you guys feel it, is the amount of time that you have to put into a passion project like this. You're giving up significant chunks of your daytime hours, which is your job, and then that's time that you're taking away. And there's equipment, there's stuff that you need, there's website costs if you need branding done, there's a whole bunch of stuff that requires money, and you end up paying for it because you love it.
Yep.
And why would you not pay for it? Because it's something that you really truly care about and believe in, so you're happy to pay for it, but you also might work for a startup. And
Yeah, there's definitely that challenge of you need money to fund that passion project. So you're funding it yourself,
Yep.
but the place where you get that money, because you're not typically going to get investors for a passion project
Yep.
like this right away, it's coming from your job. You
Yep.
got to have a full-time job, so you end up doing full-time hours for both.
for both,
It's true.
Or
You,
all three.
or as
Yeah.
many as you want to have.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit.
So tired.
What you have several passion projects, of
I'm so
course. What is Hacker Nest? What are some of the issues that you run into with Hacker Nest? Because I know you have a lot of sponsors. You have a great following here locally. Everybody supports it. So I know you have sponsors lined up. But what are some of the other sponsors that? Locations. Sorry, not sponsors.
Yeah,
but
we have
locations.
we have a lot of venues lined up.
Yes.
So the nice thing is that Hacker Nest is an international organization. So Lauren in Montreal handles our sponsorship. I have nothing to do with it. People will ask, like companies will ask, and I just connect them via email. So that's kind of nice that a lot of that administration stuff is handled by our headquarters. Mm-hmm. But in terms of locally, I'm the leader of the local Hacker Nest, and that means I'm talking to companies that want to host, trying to keep that relationship positive. There are some times when that relationship is hard to keep positive, that we are so popular that I'm juggling with companies that are hosting in 2017. We're booked to the summer of 2017, and so I talk to new companies and they get mad about the fact they
kind of a great problem to have.
It is, but I'm still one human being, and so I struggle to deal with work emails, Hacker Nest emails, and now all the emails that Steven keeps sending, and you guys keep sending.
We're needy.
Yeah,
yes.
But it's hard to balance that. So that's my big thing is struggling with the hours, and I worked really hard. We all worked really hard to make it popular, and now it's popular. And I don't know what to do.
So tell me, is that a growing pain then that you're experiencing, or are you looking for more volunteers?
It's more like a plateau pain.
Okay.
Like I think we're at where we want to be right now. I don't know how to book anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's more that challenge of keeping those relationships open and positive, so that by the time we get to 2017, nobody hates me. Well, I mean, they can hate me as an individual.
How do you keep them involved? Because you don't want to put them on hold for a year.
Yep.
And then.
Yeah,
not be there.
So it's a lot about sending emails, doing visits. Luckily, my job understands that and understands that the relationships I have in the community are important. So I do get time to go visit companies, see their spaces.
Yeah, Magnet's been very supportive. So is there something in the interim then, if a new company's really excited and wants to support but can't host for a year, then is there sort of something midway that they can do? They could sponsor, I guess, and sponsorship.
They can sponsor. They can talk to me, and I can help them figure out solutions. What they do in the meantime, if there are companies that are looking to get involved, is I say, "Hey, have you been on TSP Weekly?"
There you go. A little cross promotion.
Or have you talked to Spaces? Because maybe you could be on that. Mm-hmm. Have you talked to Ways We Work? I just am kind of throwing that stuff out there. I line them up for other options. I based on my connections with Year of Code, Academy, and the organizers of that, organizers of other, I don't know, organizations. Is that too many organizing? I can line them up with other.
There's so much organizing.
I can
That's
line
true.
them up
There's
with other
so
options.
much organizing.
They can always have nerds in their space. We
Is
can
there
always
an
figure that out.
organization startup? Because we need to talk to them.
Oh, I need an app.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit more about Ways We Work, because we've got them booked. They're going to come on the podcast here in the next month or so and talk a little bit. But that's sort of one of the passion projects locally that we've identified that we'd love to sort of help out and work with, and think we could be stronger together. So what do you know about Ways We Work?
So it's actually, I think, I don't know if I'm going to wreck it, so I don't know. Amanda has... she's an excellent writer, and she's got a really brilliant mind, and she's taken the time to talk to people to hear their interesting stories. That's not the typical startup story. It's the real human being story behind that. Yeah. And so that's really resonated well. And the weird thing is it's resonated better in California than it has locally, and she is local. So
Right. We're experiencing similar feedback in that the podcast is very popular in Silicon Valley. Yep. We have about half of our listeners of about 11, 12,000 that are in the U.S., and then about half of that is here.
Yeah. People want to stay in touch, right? They want to know what's happening, even if they've left or...
Yeah, we think it's a lot of graduates that have left the University of Waterloo and have been employed.
Well, we don't know.
Amanda is a blog, is she then? Is that the medium?
I think it's an online magazine.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot of written interviews. And
I don't know. She called it something like that. I probably wrecked it by saying magazine, but it's not a blog because it's really like a publication.
Okay.
That just happens to be online.
Looking forward to talking to her and seeing what that's about. What about TechTown? What's TechTown doing?
So Dimitri is a phenomenal photographer, and he just really wanted to show that, again, that human side of people just from photos. And he realized that a big part of that was their stories. Weird noises. Was their
the Distillery
stories.
Labs is talking to us tonight.
So he wanted to get that story. He followed sort of people of New York. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah, people of New York. He followed
Humans of New York?
Humans of
Humans
New York,
Okay.
yes.
So he wanted to do a similar thing here, and That's been interesting for him. English is his second language, so he struggled with that, but phenomenal photographer. So I've been encouraging him to talk to people in the community to help him organize. So I've been assisting him with organizing, and I now handle his Twitter.
There you go. Because you had so much extra time in your day.
So tired.
Take on one more thing. So on a scale of 1 to exhausted, how many tireds do you, 7 sheep or 8 sheep?
I don't know.
How many tireds are you right now?
Today's not a good day. Let's go with today's not a good day.
You were in Burlington.
Yeah.
And you flew back here, and boy, your arms tired.
Record time.
Yeah.
That's
Record
right.
time.
Kendra, tell us a little bit about the Spaces passion project that's going on
Yeah,
here.
Carl's awesome. He's going into just startups to see actually what their, like, physically what do their spaces look like, and places like this, like Distillery, is awesome. I mean, I spent a lot of time here when it was the brick brewing. They used to have tastings on Saturdays, and
we heard you gave us a big tip. Can you pass that along? They're gone now.
They're not doing it anymore.
Right.
But you used to be able to come and they would give you a little, you paid $5 to get in. They'd give you a little stamp. But if you brought pizza or sushi, they'd let you sit here for maybe longer than the
You
6
could have
tasting
more than
beers
one
you were
sample.
supposed to have.
Yeah.
Wow.
But so it was kind of a standing Saturday ritual.
And
for
that's
some
because
friends
this space has a huge history
Yeah.
in that, and so it's neat that it's been turned into a co-working space.
Yeah, sort of
so
repurposed.
going in and cribs for startups, we've been calling it. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of neat, right? Like everyone has the different
Yep.
physical things that contribute to the culture of an organization, and I mean it's what I'm saying. Everyone's telling those stories in a really fundamentally different way.
And the reality is there's stories that people aren't telling and they should be telling.
Yep.
And that's the big challenge. So the more that they hear those stories, the more they may be willing to tell their stories.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that Dimitri struggles with that with Tech Town sometimes, is that people don't think that they're interesting, which is garbage. Everyone's interesting. They just need to know how to tell their story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so and that's, I mean,
Well, people are just heads down doing, right? They don't have the time to look up and look around and see what kind of impact they're making. And
well, and sometimes the reason that they're doing that thing is the interesting part. They got there by some interesting history, or grew up through something, or struggled through something. I'm sure that we
Disney World, It's a Small World just popped into my head. It's definitely
You got
connections and
kids.
stuff. It's true. That's a good ride,
would
though.
not have popped into my head. Is it a good ride?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, actually. Distillery Labs here where we're shooting is another great example, right? So Josh, who is going to be coming on the podcast May 20th, I think, has a whole bevy of different startups that we were chatting about tonight.
When he has his own startup, and he actually started Distillery with a couple other guys who also have their own startups. So it's kind of neat how this community works, and I'm sure a lot of other cities we talked to, what's his name, Peter from Buffalo? Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah, so we talked to Peter, and he sort of talked about that too, that the startup community is really a community that's sort of unique. And so that's the case in Buffalo, that's the case in San Francisco, that's the case here.
But it's kind of, it is a community, which is amazing, and people will support each other. But the flip side of that is it can feel quite insular, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's difficult for people who aren't in the community to, break into it, which is one of the things I really love about all these passion projects. It's letting people kind of go into this perceived bubble. And
Right.
people are very welcoming, and we want you to join the community, but it can feel quite intimidating.
Well, and that even, I'm sure, is the challenge for other people working on their passion projects, is that you have a full-time job, you're so focused on your passion project and your full-time job that you forget to realize there's other people that could help you.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
kind of what TechFarm is going to help with.
Yeah, it's gonna be
The
great.
TechFarm commune.
The TechFarm.
I like it.
Wait, weren't we saying that you're a bad hipster? Can we be hippies instead?
Yeah, for sure. I could be a better hippie.
We're
you
going
go.
back a ways.
We got Grobo on our side,
Yep,
so
Grobo's here
we
today.
can grow stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You like
Commune.
zucchini or squash?
I would like tomatoes,
Tomatoes? Okay, good.
eggplant maybe.
So let's step back a bit. I think we understand Tech Town. Who, as you look
Tech
around,
Farm.
Sorry, Tech Farm.
Yeah,
we were
the
talking about
commune.
Tech Town too.
Yeah.
Who do you, as you look around Kitchener-Waterloo, who do you have a hashtag startup crush on?
Who do I have? I have a startup crush on Spark Gig.
I thought you
tell
were
me
going to
about
say
Spark
Oak and
Gig.
Rumble.
That goes without
I
saying.
know too much about Oak and Rumble.
That's a cute shade of pink.
No, I have a startup crush on Spark Gig. I think they're doing some awesome stuff. I personally love music, play the piano, really care a lot about startup and individual performers, and Spark Gig connecting those performers with even like micro gigs like birthday parties and stuff like that to do. It's really tough for entertainers and musicians to get a break. So I think they're doing something really quite awesome. So I actually sit quite close to them in Velocity, so it's a lot of fun to.
They've been on the
watch
podcast before.
That's true.
Before we were video. Before
Back
I
in
was
the
on.
day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Old school. So we are talking about revisiting some of those podcasts with video. Some have been bought out. Some have appeared on the Dragon's Den. Some
Where are
have
they now?
extended
Yeah,
stories.
where are they now?
So we're gonna touch base.
And that's the
with some.
reality with startups is they change so quickly. So
Yep, I think some have closed, some have pivoted into different things or morphed into entirely different projects. So, So, Kendra, as we follow TechFarm, can we
Yeah.
reach out to you on social media, or is there a website coming soon?
You can by the time
Tell us
this
the Twitter
airs,
story.
the Twitter story. So at TechFarm is it? Someone has it, but it's been like discontinued.
Okay.
Like it's been kind of
farm is
shut
closed?
down.
Okay.
The farm is closed. So I thought, hey, I'm pretty great. So I'll tweet at Twitter.
I think we'd all agree, right, boys?
Yeah, right. I'm
getting
great.
nods, yeah.
So I thought I'll tweet at Twitter. I'm me, so they'll obviously respond
right,
to me.
obviously, yeah.
Right.
How'd that go?
Not great. So we don't have at TechFarm. So by the time this airs, we will have something.
Okay.
Tech
We
Farm
do
KW?
live on. Yeah, so we're gonna
Right.
do something about that.
Okay.
But we are
TechFarms?
at techfarm.ca.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So
At
you'll
techfarm.ca?
find. Yep. Yes. No. The domain techfarm.ca.
The website?
So you can find us there, and TSP will be there. So you can see all the video for all of these awesome podcasts.
Absolutely.
We're
And
hopefully getting better.
You're getting
Yep.
so good. You guys
We're
are
learning.
great.
We're getting less awkward. We're still kind of awkward, but we're getting less awkward.
But it's endearing. You're allowed to be a certain level of awkward.
Thank you.
Because we're in the tech
So
community.
we do have
And
a
then-
YouTube channel as well. A Tech
you
Farm
do.
on YouTube.
TechFarm will have a YouTube channel.
No, you
Yep.
already have
it
one.
exists,
We have one.
You have one.
go check
Brandon's
it out.
nodding behind there.
Yep.
The URL is just a whole bunch of numbers.
Right. So it's not perfect yet.
We're gonna work
Right.
so hard this weekend, you guys. We're not coming across great
Yay,
here.
marketing.
But techfarm.ca, TSP will be there. We have been shooting a bunch of videos under a banner called Shop Talk.
Okay.
So we've been talking to a lot of people who are being featured on TSP, actually, and asking great questions about, what they've done to achieve the level of success. We had some interesting. Dave's like talking to me from behind their wow moment.
Oh,
yes,
really?
he's saying wow.
Those are great jazz hands.
Yeah.
We're talking about their wow moments, but we also have some interesting. You should check out the one that Alex did from Site to Site. I learned some things about Alex when in that shoot that I definitely did not know about him as a person. So.
Clash of Clans.
Yeah, I was going to say he games.
Yes.
He games hard.
Yep, there's no
it's
question.
a thing. So so check that out. So Shop Talk and TSP will be there. And if you have a passion project, we would also like to have you there too.
We'll probably tweet out the details when you guys have that
Yeah,
updated.
exactly.
So you can follow us at TSP Weekly.
Yeah, or give us you
Yeah.
can shout out to one of us on Twitter.
Yeah.
And we'll respond to you if you're interested in being a part of TechFarm and you have a story and you're telling it, and you want to join the commune.
Join the commune.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Amaris, any
No beard
parting
required.
any parting shots for you or?
No, I don't think I'm supposed to say anything unique today, am I? No.
Yes,
I
you
got
are. We talked about it.
No. Surf festival this weekend. No, that's all I got.
Cool. Yep. We have a scrunch or fold request from the audience.
Oh no.
Kendra,
Who invited you here?
yes. On that note, next week
We'll be much more
we have
serious.
Andrew Ringer from Alanis next week. And
You
he's
may
in
be
the-
saying that wrong.
I may. Yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about how to say Alanis. It's not Alanis Morissette. We're not sure.
No, there's no
But he's in the
extra
med tech
Yeah.
sort of.
So that'd be really
industry,
interesting.
So really looking forward to that. So folks, that's it for this week. From myself, Stephen Campbell, Amaris Gerson, and Kendra Ross from TechFarm. Thanks for joining us all, and we'll see you next week.